Yes, indeed.
I heard.
That's right.
That's what I did when I read it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Take the meeting live.
That's right.
Yes, that's right. So. Okay, so.
Yeah, we're gonna do it in a minute. Go ahead. I just want to get past that. No, I'll tell you. Okay, go start.
Okay, so guys, I see 6 o'clock. Can we get started?
Yep. Right, we're ready.
All right, I'm just gonna project and use my mom voice, if that's all right. Welcome, we're gonna call the meeting to order. It is 6 o'clock. Good evening. Can everybody please rise and join me for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you like to take the attendance thing already?
Yes. Director Ray. Director Kelly. Director Kingman.
He's absent and excused.
President Levesque. Here. Director Knapp. Here. Student Advisor Andrich. Here. Student Advisor Schroeder.
Here.
Superintendent Tweedy. Here.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Thank you, Director Kelly. Do I have a second? Director Knapp, do I have a second? And then can we call for a vote to approve the agenda?
Director Kelly.
Aye.
President Levesque. Director Knapp.
Aye.
All right, the agenda is approved. Thank you. Next on our agenda is our welcome and overview of the evening and our learning outcomes by Dr. Sweet.
Okay, good evening. Tonight, we're gonna do some learning, but we're also gonna take a look at our strategic plan, the goals in our strategic plan, and the progress so far up to now. And what are some of the challenges and implications and next steps, and what are some of the successes that we have seen and that the data is telling us, and that the information that we're going to share tonight. So we're going to start with a team building activity, then it's going to be followed by talking about goal 1, then goal 2, then we're going to take a short break, and then do the last 2 goals 3 and 4 after the break. That's what we have, and then we'll have an executive session. We're done. So that's the overview and the learning outcomes. So with that, you each should have choose people search, because today is, I mean, it is Tuesday, but it is Tuesday because of all the twos made to have a study session on. So this is a people search. So what you're doing here is we're gonna get up, you're gonna use this space, you need to take something to write with. You are to find people that can answer this. You're not filling this out, you're filling it out on someone else's. So we need to, you're like, for example, I will go and I'm gonna try to find somebody that has 2 brothers. Sharon, do you have 2 brothers?
I don't.
Do you have 2 brothers? Do you have 2 brothers? Well then, okay, by that time I have not done very well. So I'll say, do you have 2 dogs?
I have 2 cats.
Okay, good, then she'll sign them. So you're gonna get the hang of it. Like, if they don't have something that you ask them, ask what do you have on this list. Okay. We're gonna do it for a short period of time. We're gonna see how many, maybe some will get them all. But we don't know. So you're gonna learn about each other. Who has 2 of something? Question? So you only fill out the other person's, you put your name on it. So
if I say you, I'm like your name on there, so I want to fill that in.
you have to talk to me.
Yeah.
You can't just, you can't overhear them say, "Hey, I heard Chris told pretend that she's too long. Let's visit the internet. Okay? All set? I'm gonna go fast, then I'm gonna walk over so I can set the timer.
With our time, 2 minutes.
No, not 2 minutes.
22 seconds.
Oh, I get it. No, that's, we'll do 5 minutes and 2 minutes. I mean, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. Okay, just a minute.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Did you go by Maddie? M-A-D-D-Y? M-A-T-T-I-C. Oh, D. Not I know. I do have two cats because the cats are just S-H. That's how people. I have two cats. Oh, you said I
Yes. I used to. No.
I have two cats. I own 2 cars. I own 2 cars. I own 2 cats and 2 cars. I have a Toyota and
Let's see.
oh my gosh. I got you.
I have 2 brothers. You have 2
Yes, I do. I know.
You got anything here for me?
Two different states. I went to two different states. I wanted I haven't lived it, so I visited. Yeah, that's it. She said states. She said states. Go to jobs, go. Everybody good? We're gonna do video.
We're gonna see how many somebody has. Count the number of boxes you have filled in. Count the boxes. Okay, and put the number at the top. No. Okay, so who? That would have been completely a black box. Almost. Okay, 24. 23. Do you know you have 23? Yeah.
I saw her searching.
Okay, which two did you not get?
I've been on the two cruises and the high school.
And that would have been me. Because I had 2 cruises and I've been to 2 houses. Yeah, but that's great. So, let's see. What I'd like is just kind of go through this and let's just see who has what. You know, across. So, who has 2 brothers? Gary, you're the winner. Who has 2 dogs?
Yeah. Great, John.
Okay. What about 2 sisters? I have 2 sisters. Carrie has 2 sisters.
Mary.
That's Mary. 2 houses. Who owns 2 houses?
Ryan.
And then here, right? And I attended 2 high schools. I know me. In fact, the high school I went to in Federal Jim's father was the band. Mr. Wilson, I was in choir, but this band we get a lot of stuff together.
Remember his suspenders, he wore suspenders.
He was a character. It was good. Okay, I can play 2 instruments. Who can do that? Mary, you keeping your hand down, really?
I don't want to get
Kazoo
it.
count?
2 instruments.
Kazoo, just a kazoo.
It's not an instrument. It's an instrument.
And you taught the kazoo. So there you go.
That's right, and did you put down the ukulele too? He subbed in a band class because we're short on subs. And the day in the class of course we had to teach ukulele.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Well, the kids actually taught me probably.
That's true. That's
Probably
they
YouTube
learned.
videos.
better or more. Okay, you own 2 cars? Pretty much. I have 2 cats. Ooh, lots of cats. Exercise 2 times during the week. Because of health. And been to Europe twice. You're the winner. Oh, Eric, you're the winner. You too. Speak 2 languages. Oh, good for you, Gina and Maddie. What languages? If I can English and Spanish. Okay, Gina. English and Spanish. Okay, I'm English and Spanish. Okay, and my house street number has a 2 in it. It's 2. Mine has 2 2s. The number 2 is in your birth date. I have 2 college degrees. You have 2 cell phones.
None of that.
I have seen 2 operas. Brian. So what opera? Brian? I know you shared lots of.
Forty and this and 11.
If I can carry.
Well, Phantom of the Opera and Army of the Rock. I forgot about Phantom of the Opera. I never figured that as an opera. It was a thing.
Been on 2 cruises. Okay, lived in 2 different countries. Okay. I've visited 2 different zoos. Actually, I would have done that. That's how Gordon Zoo. Yeah, the zoos win. I think the majority of the time ends up in the zoos. 2 cousins. Okay. Recently ran 2 miles. And I've had 2 different jobs during high school. Okay. And you could name 2 animals that live inside the house. I was running low.
That was a desperation.
Oh, dear. Okay, thank you. Okay. So we're going to start the section on the strategic plan. Mid-year progress. Oops. So basically, this is kind of a major point for this year. And if you think back to last year, a lot of the data that you're going to see tonight is going to be from last year. Some of it will be from this year, but the majority of it is from last year. And then some of the data you can see is from 18-19 because of just the way the world has been. So last year, your remote learning students up until March. We did have elementary starting October. We had some groups of students, smaller groups of students that started thinking. Nobody really, except for maybe the special groups in private. Just kind of keep in mind what the rule was like last year. Moved into this year and came back with the opportunity for students to have 5 days of in-person learning, although we had double the number of students that chose to stay at and so forth. So just the world was not, it's been moving in the right direction, but not fully engaged with it. Tonight we're going to talk about what I would describe as where we have meetings, where we are struggling, where we need to improve, and what are the implications of what we see? Where do you see some gaps? Where do you see some actions? So around the room, there are 3 charts. One over there says gaps, one says actions, one says barriers. And there's stickies on your table. As you hear things tonight, I want you to write down, oh, that's some of the barriers. You might even actually say that's a barrier. you might see some data and you say, wow, there's a gap. And I'm probably gonna ask you, where's the gap? So you might write down math, elementary, math, low income, math for our Native American students. Whatever you see, write it on sticky, because then that's throughout, I want you to put those sticky down. That we kind of have a collection of what we see as the gaps. And the actions aren't so much, they can be what you hear that we're taking, but maybe more so what we think, what actions could we take that we're not taking. So let me see, as a result of the last year, we're going to share a little survey data. We've seen it again. And we found out from comments from our staff last year and parents and students that the challenges and impacts really focused on a couple of areas. Increased social, emotional, behavioral, and health needs. Increased number of academic areas, and you'll see that. Increased academic needs and gaps, compassion, fatigue, there's this fatigue of dealing with that ongoing pandemic, and also some of the challenges of decreased that we'll hear. So with that, so just keep in mind that and each of you have a copy of the brochure. So that is, the strategic plan is an organized way to say what we found, what we're working on. How do we know that we're making gains in 4 areas and 4 goals? There are other plans that we have that support the strategic plan, but we're not going to look at tonight. Some of these things we've looked at and we've looked at some of the study sessions, but these are supporting plans and efforts towards a strategic plan. We have our district improvement plan. We have the academic and student well-being plan. We have school improvement plan. We have the district equity plan. We have the district technology plan. We have the capital facilities plan. We have our board approved policies. We have procedures, and we have the EMARC, and there's more. This is just some of the things that we engage in to support the goals for this. Just trying to get some perspective that it's not just what you hear tonight, there's so much more. So just right up front, the equity focus, which for us is about removing the barriers and increasing access. It's intertwined, it's integrated, it's connected in all ways we can imagine. And so we're going to do here, in fact, that it's just how equity is enmeshed in everything that we do, every step that we take, every side we post. That's what we strive for. To remove the barriers, that's not a barrier. But it shows that it just means breaking through anything that's in the way. Those other pictures just increasing access from multiple things. You can see that it's unnuanced in all the different ways you can access information, access. So focus on equity. So tonight, as I'll share very Friday, we're all going to share tonight. Yes, we want you to ask this question. We want this to be more of a discussion, so that's what we're hoping for. But questions that we need to consider and ponder are what areas of that gaps exist. You'll see them right up front. Some of them we have not truly. Like today, I was looking at the discipline data again, and somebody asked me a question. Well, I think that may be even deeper. So there's more that we need to do. What interventions, programs, or strategies or supports are we implementing to address those gaps? And what actions should we consider? So be thinking about those questions throughout. So before we go to goal one, which is stimulating achievement, I want you to take a sticky note and I want you to think, what do you think would be our number one area in that in the world of academics? What would be your mind? Just from what we've heard and we've seen, it's going to be our top area that we would be greatly challenged, that we are not at our highest peak of what we could be like now, or reading, or it could be career focus, it could be how to be like preparing kids for their future. It could be honestly social media. So just focus on a minute on that.
I would think that college readiness would be something that I don't know how we have to put this. Just think that, that would be a possible path.
Say that's the end of the chart. Maybe help me get Maddie.
Yeah, I said high school and beyond plan, so just plans after high school. It's just not as enforced, it's more just like, this is something you have to do, it's not really like learning opportunity for students. I feel like students are more just being like, oh, have to do it, so I'm just gonna put in the minimal effort type of thing.
Other thoughts? We'll say that, we'll come back to it. Okay, so with goal one, it's focused on student learning and achievement. It's focused on that every student will engage in rigorous instruction, rich instruction that's really going to move them forward so that they can go from grade to grade and have that depth of learning that they need to be successful from one level to another to eventually then graduate. That's what the goal statement says. So inside that goal statement, there are some metrics. We're not going to share the progress towards every metric. We wouldn't have time to do that. So we're going to highlight some of those metrics. So with the first one, I'm going to ask Carrie to come on up. She's going to share some of the academics. We talked about math and reading. Give us some information. Carrie, do you want me to? Yeah.
So, this isn't technically a measure on our strategic plan, but it's still important to report on. Chris referenced earlier that some of the data that you're going to be seeing tonight is quite old, from 2018 and 2019. That's the last year that we have our traditional state testing data. We did some state testing this fall on last year's loading, but it was a significantly different, significantly updated assessment, and so it's a little bit different species. But anyways, so when we left off in 2018 and 2019, 46% of our K-12 students, well, third through 11th grade students, were meeting state standards. This is third, fourth, fifth, seventh grade data, where we were in 2018 and 2019. Math has been a big growth area for us for a long time. We've engaged in about 5 years worth of changing the way we teach math and changing the way kids do and the way kids learn math. by increasing rigor through challenging tasks and tasks that allow kids various entry points with their understandings where they are to get at what the problem is and what is a group facility work to make math more social and less isolated. We work to make math more three-dimensional. We want to make it more conceptual than procedural. Still have some ways to go, right? But that's where we are in 2018. We are not much different right now. So, and so on the next slide, we have what's been going on for quite a bit of time and a little bit of new information about what we're doing to this problem. You can't have scores like that and expect an immediate turnaround, right? Kids construct their knowledge. But we've been emphasizing a growth mindset for 5 to 7 years.
What is de-scaffolding?
I'm so glad you asked. De-scaffolding is a problem like only in school do you have workbook questions with a direct question asked, right? So de-scaffolding a math problem might say, here is the sample problem that comes to mind was one we did that showed 5 different items from McDonald's and their costs and their calories. And you say to kids, what do you notice and what do you wonder? Okay. What do you think about when you see this? After leading kids through a thinking process and some social time to talk about it, and you say, what questions do you have about what you see? So kids are generating their own questions and they're working together to solve them, and they're hearing the questions that their peers generate. Math in real life doesn't happen before, right? So we have to prepare kids starting out to generate their own questions and wrestle through what they want to know. Yes, it is great. It's a challenge. There's a process where, like, particularly kids at middle school are like, oh no, it's a this.
Right,
Because they've been trained to look for their question mark in the question and underline and circle, and are supposed to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So there's kind of a scary component to the freedom of what am I interested in? I'm sure.
I think it sounds more realistic.
Very much so. It is also slower and more complicated. Right? The advantage to procedures is they're contained and there's a worksheet for each. Number Talks is an elementary initiative where the teacher will grab a problem or a series of pictures and say, would you like to figure out for me, if I was to give you this problem, how would you solve it? And then the kids generate the answers. Math Talks is about mathematical thinking and mathematical problem solving. It's not about getting to the right answer. So lots of times kids will have different answers, but that's also a learning opportunity. Part of having growth mindset in math is saying mistakes are a good thing. I learned from mistakes and it's okay to make them, right? For such a long time, it's not kids to everybody's about to so intensified algebra, we know the importance of having freshmen on track with credits to graduate. We also know that when it comes to math, 8th grade math is a little bit of a turning point for kids. A lot of kids who drop out of high school say, I gave up on math as an 8th grader, I was done, and it becomes a factor in their decisions. So as they move into high school, intensified algebra is a double math class, right? Growth mindset and no world algebra. We have a new high school math curriculum as well, started this year at Illinois. It's very connected to Intensified. It's built on the same kinds of principles and the same philosophies of problem solving. But it is a single period class. Summer school, we have math class, which I hope this summer. It's very elementary focused. But we do have the disabilities that show to play with their siblings, and that adds a fun element to it as well. I brought an artifact. Just one of the things that we're doing to intervene in math is working through, we've got math lead teams, an elementary lead team, and a secondary lead team. There are probably 40 people altogether, maybe 45. We've got them groups. So the 5 practices are ways to extend the way you plan math, anticipating the questions that kids are going to ask and the problems that they're going to struggle with, what are the hard parts going to be, actively monitoring and note-taking during problem solving time, intentionally selecting who's going to share what, putting them in an intentional order. So the way you select the kids and they sequence their answers to lead or build to the math concept, and then connecting it to other content areas or previous learning or how they use any kind of connections is one of the 5 practices. Age group. This is age 12. Lesson planning and instruction. So it's not math concept specific, it's instruction. Then we've got math teams going on. Not everybody can be on the math lead team, not everybody is participating in this. Setting up lead team members, go back to the video. Next, we'll look at reading. Again, we're kind of in that weird time where we've got data from 2018, 2019. And then this is where we were in start to read. So I'm not going to try to make up a date because I'm not wearing my glasses.
The red is 18, 19, it was 17, 18, and then it was the right.
So what we have, our most current 3rd grade reading data, remember 3rd grade is a pivotal year. If you don't read by on grade level by 3rd grade, it's not go back for the rest of your life, possibly. Kids do it, right? But anyway, so this is SBAC data. So and this is our most current STAR assessment results for 3rd grade, which says 46.5% of kids are meeting standard grades. Our fall STAR data showed 35%. So 45 is concerning, like in terms of it being a low number, but it's also end of year standards that we're measuring. So we don't expect at this point in the year, 100% of our kids are going to be at 3rd grade reading standard. They're midway through 3rd grade. It's okay that they're not at standard. 37% that was fall.
Oh, fall.
Yeah.
So, and this is 45 now.
This is winter score. So that's technically, actually, the window testing window for this is still open. Yes.
Did they do a fall assessment when they first started?
Yes.
And
In
then
the
they'll
first
do-
month of school, it was 35%. Yep.
So we'll have
So we'll
3
have-
data points by the end of this.
Beginning of November.
And if you look at over on the other chart, that's end of year data, and those numbers are like 70, it was 70 and 79. So we were still struggling there, even that we didn't have 100% at the end of the school year. So there are,
So to address in each child not just 3rd grade, we've got some strategies that are up and running. Prevention, against prevention versus probably. But our STAR assessment for K2 is specifically geared towards kids who are still learning to decode and grade 1 and 2 to make need in order to build that material. That is a change from the year before. We had a STAR test that was K5 that assessed comprehension, which works great for some kids. We have kindergartners that show up reading all the time. The comprehension assessment. We have a new assessment this year. I brought more artifacts if you'd like to explore this, but we have there's some legislation about addressing dyslexia for early learners.
Yeah, this is,
It's a really fascinating assessment, a different assessment than anything we've ever given before. It's state mandated. But it is designed to predict read talk. So there's not a single word anywhere on any of these 5 assessment pages. What it is a processing that, and it is a timed assessment, which most people think that's a hard thing because we worked hard to remove timed assessments as a general rule. But it's a processing speed. How quickly do I take in visual stimuli and put it into words? We do not diagnose dyslexia. That's not the job of the assessment. But there are estimates that up to 20% of the population is dyslexic. So this is a potential way for us to say, I can do some interventions for kids that score with these. So this is a practice page, and on the inside, the timer starts, and the kids read across a lot, 50 items per page. They look at colors, objects, numbers, letters, and then it's a little more complicated stuff. They're mixed stimuli, so letters and numbers, letters. Quite an adventure to try to make this smart. As a kindergartner, I literally thought a 5-year-old would growl at me. I did it, I'm sorry. We're not that. Anyway, the assessment generates different information than we've ever gathered before. So, and the key with any assessment is making it meaningful. What are we going to do with what we learn? Predictive assessment, remember that. It's not, we don't expect kindergartners to be able to rattle off on 6 different pages, 50 separate stimuli, super fast. But for a kid who scores significantly well, that's an alarm. OSPI recommends science-based reading instruction as a result of the test. That's nothing new. We provide science-based reading instruction for kids in this. Phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, and focus. OSPI also recommends, because dyslexia is a processing disorder, multisensory instruction. So, okay, another reason how Play-Doh in primary classrooms. It's a reading tool. They need to see things, they need to hear things. In order to work with the brain's process. Yes. What grade level are we in? That's a good question. It's a K2 assessment mandated that you can give the test up to kids that are 18. Okay, you're off the list. You can't take those.
Okay. What do we do with that information if the kids scoring low?
We ensure science-based reading instruction. We ensure multisensory instruction in reading. We ensure more. Dyslexia is not, it's not a disease, but there is a cure for it, right? This is the way our brain processes information. It is part of why we're emphasizing DDL. We expect variability in the way human beings learn to read and in the way we process their information. It's okay. But more time is probably the #1 cure. More time that includes hearing and seeing and maybe tasting, like a bit
And smelling.
smelling. If you come up with a way to smell reading, I would love to talk to you about that. So understanding the logic of the English language is a book study that's happening in our language. We've got a lot of teaching staff who are raised on the English just doesn't make sense and you just have to memorize everything. That's not true. It appears that way on the surface, but this is a book that breaks down language and how it works and in words and in word origins and why the spelling rules work the way they do. Depends on where the word comes from. We have inclusionary practices. We know a challenge with students who are served in special education is that they're so often removed from class during core instruction. You can't catch up and keep up if you're not receiving core instruction. So we have to include special education students engage in that classroom to a higher level. Support them not through program, but through practice. We got literacy camp, we've got an ELL STEM camp, we've got extended school year. I've already talked about science-based instruction, but really all of this sort of filters into the idea of multi-tiered systems of support here. We respond to students based on.
So here's some things. So did anybody identify just on this brief slide a gap, a barrier? Just be thinking about it. Did you pass?
Yes.
Somebody would like to say that. Keep reminding, writing down things as you do that. All right. So another, the next slide is moving on to another indicator of success for our students. And that's if they're on track at 9th grade as far as their credit. So we have for credit requirement to graduate. So that means that when we start 9th grade, we pass our courses. And so it's a challenge. We did some talk about the issues when we were going to initiate the 24 mistakes and we found out she 7 periods. She would use some different things. But you'll see throughout this some of the things that we have. They're still right up. Let's see. So this chart shows for the last 5 years. Shows from 2016 until last year. You can see that it went down. You know, the number of students in the grade that were on. A lot going on. We have the students. The goal is, and I will tell you, this is an area that high schools and the middle schools really put their intentionality, and they're really putting on some interventions. So, for example, summer school last summer, they had a transition program for the 8th and 9th graders. So there was 8th graders. Intentional there to catch those, the ones that are not. That's certain topics from the 70% on up to that need to get someone. We're going to do it again this summer. It's going to be on the high school, I believe. Right. Another thing that we've done is the credit retrieval, credit advancement. So as you know, last summer and this summer, and hopefully forever, kids can engage in credit retrieval and credit advancement.
What was, and I don't think it's been going on too many years, because I think Mary spearheaded initially that program that you offer the 9th graders. It's a big kickoff, and then you have people. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think it's late, and then, but it was something that sounded like it was something that's carried through the whole 9th grade. Like they're really, like you said, it's about staying with this group, this cohort, and letting them be, have as much administrative support.
Tell us about
Freshman time, maybe that's the word. But I know Marilyn, somebody did for a couple of years.
I didn't know if it wanted to have it.
Yeah, so the link day is the day before our starts, and then the 9th graders come in and they get their own special group. I think it's like 6 kids in their group max and 2 seniors. And then they later in the year will have like their advisory, they'll meet up with the seniors will meet up with their little freshmen or be like, hey, how are you doing? A couple of my friends still see their freshmen in the hallway. They're like, hey, how are you? So have that conversation. So it's a really helpful thing. So just to make the freshmen feel welcome as well.
Sure. It seemed like that was something that was, I don't remember after this one, the newer program, and it seems kind of like you were saying, I think process was, and making those connections. That's, you know, there's an accountability there.
Okay, so what, the next couple of slides are going to show, you're going to have opportunity for gaps. So the next two slides disaggregates this information. First one is, the first slide is going to be by type of program that a child, a student might be engaged in. So allow, the one after that will be by race. So I'm just going to move it and then you can kind of look at it and then we'll discuss. So the green, so the first top one is English language learners. English language learners.
They're the ones that are on track for 24 credits, so that's still.
Right. Let's compare that one. Then the next is comparing ICAP. Homeless, non-homeless, low income, non-homeless. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So kind of look through that data there. This is on top. So this would be not trust. This is right off of OSPI. What do you see?
For the homeless and military parents, that's less than 10%.
Yeah, they're suppressed. And then you got just that on our.
Yeah, these things have a lot, you know, versus not. It's 54 to 80%. That's different stages. Not entirely. That's definitely. Talk about equity. You know, Mount Vernon is required to be this much. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know that we have that population, but I thought that was.
Well, I mean, if we may want to. Language program that schools. We would actually, we almost jumped into the water a couple of times, but we just barely got there with basic English. Because if we're going to do that, we have to do the idea would be to like have English. Ideally, they're bilingual, but if they're not, we have English teacher that comes with them. They basically we get taught like, if I want my child in there, they just hear that Spanish and hear that language all the time. We merge it into that.
I don't know exactly, but there's been a couple of programs like that. Sister, she would go and do ELL with a teacher that was bilingual and then get that experience, which from what she said, that was extremely helpful.
So it's very, research shows that it's very valuable and it's for both. Yeah, we just not so much the money, because we have money and that we have to have space. Yeah, but it is interesting, and I know that at the high school level, we can make some specific changes this year. teaching, the support for our institutions. And Paul Wilson came on board and he worked closely with the staff of the high school. I think it's going to show some differences. I mean, it's going to be a lot of it, and it's going to show differences. They're very intentional.
Yellow program. But the elementary development that you will-
It's in every school, but there is a program, and that's the because the knowledge.
Right. It's not that,
Can you tell us that? Are
Okay,
they,
the program technically doesn't exist. Because numbers, it would started as K3. Started as K5 actually, and then that's K3. Numbers started to change, people wanted to go to their neighborhood schools, so there are teachers that are bilingual that cluster in all of those at each school, and there's also a full program.
that doesn't look like comparing on that day, but I'm just thinking about all along and then how these numbers also reflect. Let's figure it out. We're just specifically. Then looking at. Lower.
the three, and you see that we have our, we have this flyer. Looking at- I'm gonna go to the next slide. This is the race. So, actions, that's right there. At the end of goal one. You have an opportunity to get up and do something. I'm going to move on to another indicator. This is earning high school credibility. So the one is the non-track. One of the things that can help, and this is actually an intervention, is to provide opportunity for students to earn high school credit before they even get to high school. And we increase those opportunities there as they earn at the middle school level. They can credit in algebra, PE, Washington State. So you can see over time, the blue is 17, 18, and the red is 18, 19. The very last one, the green is 20. So you can see in algebra, for some reason, I mean, between the last 2 years, it's somewhat similar. So that will happen between that first year. Then you look at P2. And then Washington State District. But you know, the question comes to having the access. Are there other credits? Are there other things that they can earn credit for? I don't think on this one, because this is an in-house. Okay, the next one is for our students in preparation for moving on. This, and that's one of our metrics is college credits. So here we were talking about 8th grade credits for high school. Now we're talking about in high school, actually getting college credits and industry recognized certifications of being completed and certificated. So, I mean, last year, for some reason, kids said, I'm gonna earn my college credit and move forward because look at that. What happened last year? That's one area that we just. When you look at it, it's from several.
First year, I'd be curious how many that use that, how many, because they said junior college, community colleges were down in enrollment, so I'd be curious how that would, how you could use that data to say that.
One of the things that I like, is just, I believe, I think that, my mom, our director for college and careers, has been very intentional, strategically trying to make this an opportunity for college credit on our campus. We'll expand that so those kids don't have to just go there and start earning college credit. Right here.
That's definitely the thing.
Depends what college you go to, will take certain credits. and
Right.
will take different.
Right. I think it certainly needs a portion of the population. I think right on premises is great, and it's very intentional.
And look at the certifications. You know, he's been very intentional that the department to consider the opportunities for this certification. We opened up the RAP program, the Regional Research Center, over there, various programs that we're connected to. That's a good thing. It's a good time. There's a successful celebration here. The CT completed, you know, that's when you complete. I don't know, Carrie, how many classes? It's just a pathway within the CT career pathway.
I think what's nice too is just, again, not even the word equity, but just the options. You know, just felt like when I was in high school, it was this track or this track, you know. It was snow hour or it was college. And I love that there's really a range for people. And I like that with Brian, this is just, even just, and the assignment to just the apprenticeship program, but even college and. So I think that gives our constituents, gives the students more options. I think that makes them want to be here, stay in school. It's more meaningful.
Just to let myself visited the medical program that we have here with Major Vascular. It was amazing. The students had 15 different stations. One was the blood pressure station, but another was just figuring out different concerns with different parts of your body and anatomy. They just knew the words and the procedures. And it was, that class was leading to the next level. So this is not, so this is from OSPI, this is dual credit. So this would be like if you get college. So this, same kind of, this is the same as we saw for the other class. Even lower in this case. You know, there's such a great opportunity here. for the students to earn college credit and not look at the gap. Right?
Do you think there's I don't want to say this sounds so basic, but a communication gap here? I'm wondering if there's a portion of this population that doesn't, that we're not speaking that language. I mean, you know, we're not reaching that community to say, this is available, this is the importance, this is the value. I just wonder because it's the same type of thing, the same type of thing.
So just opportunity wise, like I excel in math, and so I am in higher math levels, but I know some of my peers who don't have those opportunities because they aren't as, I don't want to say smart, but their learning just isn't as high as mine would be, so then we just don't have those opportunities.
Maybe it's a growth mindset. You know, like I know that when we first started the growth mindset, the administrators, some of us didn't math. And so part of that, you know, they want, you think it's just too hard. Just too hard, but also is, how do we encourage kids to be connected to these classes? And it can't start in high school. It has to start earlier.
That's it. I'm just wondering what the cultural practice. I worked in a program this summer with nothing but Spanish speaking students. I was completely from the outside. And I mean, I made connections just as on a human level, but I had two assistants who were fully Spanish speaking. And I know that if they were not present, there would have been a huge gap. The attendance would have been not existing. So the program exists because of the concentration, understanding the population. So I kind of feel sad because I feel like looking around our demographic, we don't really have anyone at the table that could speak to that. And I think that that would be something that we should do, that we should have someone of a Spanish speaking nature understands the culture.
There's also the thing about it is having like bilingual speaking teachers that can teach.
That would be huge. Bilingual math teacher.
The next one is by race. You know, the gap isn't quite as deep. It's different. It's different. Black African, when we look at this, when we take action, we see too often in systems we don't change. We make adjustments in this time. So we continue watching this. That's why with the strategic plan we talk about at the beginning, now we talk about it's just kind of a cycle, continuous cycle of review.
Population in the high school then is.
That's true, but okay, moving on. Okay, this is hard to read, but this is another, this is on our data dashboard. This is on advanced courses. So who's taking advanced courses? So the first one is the number of high school students enrolled in AP. And so the green is this last year. So you can see that we increased in the number of students enrolled in AP courses. Now, what my question now, I want who I will speak to. What's the demographic of those students? Then the next one is the number of high school students enrolled in AP courses. The next one is the number of high school students enrolled in college and high school classes. That's up there. Next one, number of high school students enrolled in Running Start, that increased. The number of middle school students enrolled in Advanced English. There's been a dip. And then the last one is the number of middle schools enrolled in Advanced Math courses. We at the middle school level, we've been working on philosophy, trying to learn what we really believe is important at middle school level for math. What we want is rigorous, high-level math engagement for all students. We don't think that track is challenging because one person will get on that, get on the track, and then we don't get on that track. The track of nothing. We just believe it, we can't win it. So we're working on that. We have more work to do, more discussion about that. This next one, in our strategic plan, when we had Bobby, it's really about the high school beyond plan. So we're trying to figure out how do we measure any success with that. So this is data where the students are actually accessing it and using it. So it's not saying, you know, take them, but at least it shows what they're doing with it. But because in the past, with our previous program, we had really, it was a challenge to get kids to be connected. To even logging. So at least you can see here that kids are logging. And the goal is, well, actually, it's about 6 years, we're trying to keep that, so the kids are actively engaged in those activities in that program. One of the things, we've been involved, there's a couple of us in the cohort, and Mary, you were in it, for the equity cohort. One of the metrics that we believe that they're kind of nudging us, and I don't know if it'll stay, but they have a metric about which students, you know, what the backgrounds are that are applying to FAFSA. You know, so is it, is it not happening in student? Just showing this is kind of baseline data because we haven't really ever showed this before. Okay, finally, we're going to end this goal section with the graduation rates. So this is our 4-year graduation rate. And what I will say is that in the previous years before COVID, we actually hit 90%, which is an all-time high. We've never been at 90%. So we've gone back somewhat as a whole, and I'm looking at the whole number. So it's been an impact. Even with the emergency waivers and all those things that we're able to do, it's still there hasn't.
I was just curious about homeschool or AOC programs. Where does that factor in graduation?
All everything's in.
It's just considered all public, Arlington public schools.
Well, I don't see us being, no.
Because I'm just saying it would be another.
On another chart, actually, not this chart doesn't show, but we have another chart that we use that does show that. And
I'm wondering if that's higher.
I think that the kids that did AOP over the last couple of years had to choose between our
That's right.
or less.
you're right.
So they're under 100. I see.
And we actually, SBLC, we don't have, we have only through AOP, we have the 9 through 12. And they are under the umbrella now of Weston, because Weston is accredited.
That's a change.
Okay, so you can take a peek here. You can see where the state was or is. This is the graph. You can see the ups and downs. And this is since 2020. We've always, I mean, you know, we always kind of nudged up above the state. Here's the, this is on demographics for our race, where there's a lot of suppressed numbers here. But when you see that why this is that, I should have put this first before that last one. This one also has the which the last 5 years ago we started the 4 programs, which has helped to grow our dropouts because it's students that are 16 to 21 who are currently efficient on campus there. It's not under the same laws and rules. It's under state law. So the students don't have to have set time in the seat. They can be online and there's different, they can actually earn a GED. So there's different rules for that. Here's the 5-year. So 5-year nudged up a little bit extra time. So
If someone leaves Weston and they do the other program, the doors, does it count against Weston? Does it count as a drop?
That's all that.
So it's still, so it would still be under, as long as they stay with Weston and they complete, no matter what particular path they would choose, it still becomes, it doesn't show as a.
Well, I think so.
A blue, that shows us.
Yes, it does. Kids, there's a couple of ways to slice with five, but kids, you can be only.
I'm sure it's not a high percentage, but still, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about people that drop off, it's kind of, you know, the traditional with the Weston, but even Weston, you have 47%.
There's this graph. Yeah, I'm gonna finish up this section with the perceptions of learning. So we did the survey last spring. We asked students, we asked staff, and we asked parents. So just pick a couple of them out. And so this first one, it's hard to read up there, but first one is the teacher at my school supports my learning needs. So, and the red is green, and the blue is strongly green. So on that particular one, it's but there are some that the orange is the disagreement, the green is strongly disagree. So there's still, in all of these perceptions, we do believe the majority of people do students believe that there are learning disabilities. The students in my some of our students are not achieving in those areas. Not exact. The second one is my teachers are great at helping me to believe in myself as a learner. Who can meet high expectations and challenge myself. So 77% and 71% agree or strongly agree. 15% disagree, and about 3% strongly disagree. And I don't know, 15% or 16% don't know. Just that's some perceptions. Where the goal is to keep asking these questions every year. So we just asked them last year, so we're trying to develop some baseline. This was secondary. This is secondary. This
Then
one.
the students were 6 through 12.
Okay.
So family, I have a positive impression about the quality of instruction or education at this Arlington. This was like 81% said agree or strongly agree, 11.2%. There's kind of a combination there, so 8% disagree. My child's school is a place where all students are challenged to do their best. This one's about the buses. Not the buses. This is about their book. There's one coming up. Someone big one. So this is the question that we asked, and we've asked it. You know, this wasn't the first time, right?
No, it's like the 3rd year.
Yeah. We wanted to know if the families were actually hearing not sort of mindset about math and that kind of thing.
And our website, you know, our website shows there's the one from previous years. So your years ago.
Has this one gone up? over the
I was
last
actually
year?
going to that's a good question.
Or is it back down?
I think it went up. Did it go up? I think it did.
Yeah.
Thank you. You could check that.
Yeah.
This next one is staff. So we asked staff, I have a positive impression about the quality of education. And that was like 80%. You know, but there was some that disagree. I don't understand why a staff would be perfect and not know. I don't know if they're thinking as a whole, I don't know, outside of their own area. Next, when my child's school is a place where all students are challenged and supported to do their best. Now, notice this responses here.
I said, why would it say my
How much staff do we have?
This can't be stuff, this has to be the parents. Because look at that.
It's my
child's school?
Yeah,
We don't have that many staff members.
this is parents, because we had about, the staff, we had like 5, so this is.
1,500 responses.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. And then finally, the last one is, we're at the end of that, and so I want you to take a minute to think and finish this up on the next steps. I wanted Carrie to talk, just so you're writing down some final things. And just share a little bit more. She did it already, but I want to make a connection to the UDL. University of Design, because the next step is part of this is the UDL.
Chris just said it. Our next steps are UDL. What UDL does for us as a system is allow us the opportunity to respond differently, plan for the UDL is not planned differently in a general education classroom, right? The goal is to keep kids and have as much of their learning met in a typical traditional classroom as possible. That's where kids learn best, that's where they grow best. Separating students into groups is always an ethical challenge. Sometimes it's the right thing to do, but there are always costs associated with it. When you talk about special education, the challenge with catching up and keeping up is you spend year 4 instructional time catching up. So UDL moves and increases the opportunities for learners. And else right now we have some collaborators. And they do need leads. It's not that you don't need leads, but it's not a place to make things. So or smaller numbers in the groups.
Yeah, I think that's something to take down.
Is Mike Ray Okay, just, I'm gonna use the mic, the people are having a hard time hearing. So stay at one of the charts. If you're near a chart, or if you go to a chart. And I'd like each of you to share 1 or 2 stickies off that chart. It can be yours or it can be someone else's. So Maddie, we're gonna start with you on barriers.
Completing 24 credits and a lot of suppressed minorities due to population.
Having bilingual math and science. Gaps, high school and beyond, not all students accessing everything, not presented as an awesome opportunity and students just finishing it without learning. Let's look at the second sticky is ninth graders are struggling in 2020. More Yale students, low-income students, migrant students, 504 students, and disabilities.
Two more gaps. I have English and non-English learning dual credit, and algebra as a whole from 2021.
Space. And completing 24 credits.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're gonna take a quick, we're gonna sit back down and we're gonna move on to goal 2. We're gonna powerhouse through this. I do remember the last time we did this last year, we actually didn't make it through all 4 goals. We actually had to take and take it to some of the meetings because it takes a lot of thought and some discussion. So we'll go through goal 2 and we'll see where we're at and we need to come back. So for goal 2, it's cultivating and maintaining a safe and caring environment that supports learning, that supports achievement. And in this section, I'm going to share information. Carrie Helgeson would be here, but she's out of town, and so I'm going to share some of the notes that she shared with me, information that she wanted the board to know. So first of all, suspensions and expulsions. So you can see this chart. It looks like we've been miracle makers. It looks like, wow. At the beginning, at the top, it's 2016, 17, and you come down here to 2021, 0 or 1 or 2. It looks like, wow, what did we do? So, we know that that's because we are in remote learning in the hybrid mode, and it was more, there was limited number of students on campus. So the next slide is information that Director Helgeson shared with me. This is suspensions this year. So what's going to happen when you see the data next year is going to show a huge increase, more than we've had. So this year to date, we've had 46 in-school suspensions. We've had 69 short-term suspensions, 2 long-term suspensions, and 5 emergency expulsions, for a total of 121 incidents. That represents 106 students. So there's some repeat.
Yeah, because people are doing this online. So that also could be from the actions from COVID and then now into being at school and the different environment and the different schedule change, for sure.
Any other thoughts? This is the whole school, the whole district.
I'd be curious to see what the percentages, I know we've done that before, we've broken into high school, I'd be curious where we are from middle school versus high school versus elementary.
So it's interesting, Maddie, that you mentioned why. Any other comments about why this might be? I asked Director Helgeson to share with me what she saw, because when you put in discipline information, they always put the reason why. So I have some information about what she shared with me. So what she said was coming out of the pandemic and learning how to interact has been really challenging. Learning to follow rules again and have structure has been really challenging. Some bad habits have been formed while in remote learning. And stress levels, not only at home, but in our world, have been tremendous. And so she, on her own reflection in that position, she felt that this reflects that. This data here doesn't at all reflect that we've also had some student threat assessments more this beginning of the year than we did last year. But the good news is they've lessened. So it was that first couple of months, we had quite a few. And so you see a need there. You see a great need there. The daily attendance, you can see, it's amazing. Last year, it looks like we did a miracle again. But the thing about that is that it was really hard to hone in on the attendance. You know, kids had to just show they were attending online, but did they attend all day, you know, or even the little amount of time that needed to be attended to. The next slide, Carrie Hogason had disaggregated this by building. So you can see the elementaries are pretty close. Elementaries are with 88, 89%. This is this year so far. And then the middle schools within a couple, it's 86, 87. And the high school, Arlington High School is 88, and Weston 69. And you know that Andrea Dixon Huntermark has been sharing with us. That's she's been working, her staff been working hard in that area. It's one of their priorities. And then SPLC 98%. And so district-wide, the total is 88%. Just so you could see it disaggregated by building. Yes, Mary?
That includes all the kids that have been sick this year.
Yes. Mary's question was, does that include all the students that have been sick? Yes, it does. So here, this is this is from OSPI for the attendance, and it shows you where the same groups we've been looking at. What it looks like there. What do you notice on that? It's interesting, the first comparison, the non-English and then the English learners, pretty close. So they're here, they're coming. Something's not happening when they're here. Now, when you look at the homeless, it's hard for them to, I mean, that's a barrier, you know, getting here is a barrier, but we've been working really hard to increase that access. And there's, you know, we would just be very creative in that area. So moving on. This is by race. Native Hawaiian, other Pacific Islander, used to be. And you know, I don't know exactly, but I know that there are, in certain cultures, there's certain things, certain events that they honor. And so students are out for some of those events in honor of their cultural celebrations. Here's a chart on chronic absences. So where you have students that are absent, I think it's 19, is it, Carrie? 10%? That'd be close to 10%. So you can see that increased. It didn't increase as much as it was in 2015, 16. Don't know what was going on there, but 12.4% chronic absence. The next slide is about harassment, intimidation, and bullying events or incidences according to our discipline. And you can see that those incidents have decreased over time. It's hard for me to believe, but there was 0 last year, but that's because we weren't on campus. We were on campus. I mean, we did get back to campus, but the hybrid was very structured, very controlled. The kids were here time. And I think to remember what it's like walking through the schools, they were very quiet, just very quiet. The next one, this is one of our metrics, is extracurricular activities. Just shows you how that decreased over the years, the last couple of years. And why this is an important metric is that when kids are actively involved in other things besides, you know, the academics, it helps their academics. Brian, you want to say something about the management system?
Sure. We use a product called Safe Visitor to help encourage and standardize the volunteer application process. You can see that It's gone down in 1920 and 2021, primarily because of COVID. It is resurging this year in spite of the requirements, the volunteers that work in our school buildings, they either need to be vaccinated or they need to submit a request for a medical or religious accommodation the same way that our employees have. So I'm really glad to see this increase in volunteer applications and see the volunteers, see the community back in our school buildings.
Thanks, Brian. I think the next one is safety drills.
So state law requires that every month that we're in school, that we conduct a safety drill. And there's 3 functional drills. One is lockdown, one is evacuation, one is shelter in place. So we have to do at least one of these or a variation of them at each school building in every month of the year, including summer school. So you can see again, last year the number was kind of low because we didn't bring on our full load of students until March of last year. We're a little bit above where we were at the same for the totality of last year. At this point in the year, I expect that number to be closer to the gold bar and the red bar when we're done. One of the things I was concerned about going to a remote or hybrid mode of operation was that we would our skills in terms of emergency management and response would get rusty. And so it's been, this year's been a real restarting the machine kind of process and making sure that our people have the skills and tools that they need to response to emergency.
Thanks, Brian. The last part of this goal 2 are perceptions. So perceptions of a safe and caring environment. This is the students. You can see that there are about 290 some responses. The first one is the staff at my school support my emotional safety and well-being. So about 60 some percent, 62% agree or strongly agree. There's 11.3% that disagree and so forth. You can see that the breakout there. The next question is, I feel I can talk to a teacher, counselor, or other staff, school staff if I have a problem. And this is about a little bit less, but about 59.2% agree or strongly agree. Some don't know. There were more don't know on the top one than on the bottom. But there are the ones that are, there's 9.9 that strongly disagree. So there's more that we can do to help students to, and the disagree is also 18.2. The next one is students again, continued. The question was, do you feel your school supports students regardless of their social and cultural backgrounds, race, gender, and or special needs? So in this one, you can see the breakout, which it was higher than the previous 2, it's like 75 some percent. So less that strongly disagree. 14.4% disagree. And actually it's most, it goes, so the blue is all the time, which is great. And then the red is most of the time, that's pretty good. The orange is some of the time, and the purple is I don't know, and the green is never. So I worry about those never. And then the next one is teachers and staff accept me for who I am. Strongly agree, 29.8%, and 51% agree that there's, there's some that don't know, that they don't know if they're accepted or not. They don't have that relationship. Again, I feel safe while on school grounds. This is more on physical safety, because when we talk about safety and a safe and caring environment, we're looking at all aspects, physical, emotional, all of those. So on this one, pretty high agree. That's something that's going to be. The last one is, are you comfortable reporting harassment, intimidation, or bullying and or dangerous or unsafe behavior to school staff or anonymously using the Safe Schools Alert tip line. It's really important. We want to get this 100%. As close as we can. And so we'll be measuring this again. So we'll see where we're going. This is kind of a baseline for us.
This is done.
This is done in the fall.
It was done at last spring. Toward this latter part of May. Yeah, late May.
That's a correct. Secondary.
6th grade through 12th. Families, this is where there were over 1,500 responded. Whenever I phone or visit the school, staff members are courteous and helpful because we want this to be a safe and caring environment for our families as well. So you can see that, I mean, really, that's pretty strong for the strongly agree. There's still a few people that they're not sure, you know, they disagree. Something's happened that they don't feel welcomed. The principal and other administrators in my child's school work, the principal and other administrators in my child's school work to make sure the school is a safe, efficient, and effective learning environment. Pretty much similar to the previous one, a few more disagrees. This is the bus one.
Oh,
The school
where is
bus,
this purple? Right, there's no purple.
I know it should be there.
Okay, we know by now. But yes, we know.
Earlier, when I was looking at this, I said, "Yeah, now what happened here?" So the reason why they don't know, there's a, they don't ride the bus, so they don't know. Maybe we just don't know. But anyway, we want to know their perception, even if they haven't been, because they might have heard from their student, their child. Staff, my work, this is about 430 some. This is right. So this is the right number for our staff. We'll be having about 400 some. My work site adequately plans and has resources for site emergency or crises. So in other words, are we prepared? You can see that between the agree and strongly agree, it's pretty good, and there's still some disagree, a tiny bit of strongly disagree. We've got to work on that. Some don't know. My work site is safe. But now, do you see that white spot in there? What that is, yeah, and I think this is it, Gary. There's people added some comments. So if you look at that white space has little black lines. Those are all little individual comments that are in there. So, right, a lot of others. Yeah, and that's it. So just, you know, take a moment, because I went fairly quickly through that. But there's definitely, in thinking about our first goal, student learning and achievement, and thinking about having a safe and caring environment. Now, there's some questions I think in this section, like on the absences. And, you know, there's some questions. So think about that while we'll talk. Sure. Okay. Okay, who's ready to share some of the implications, either gaps you heard, actions we should take? Okay, we're not going to have some more. I'll get some more. So why don't you go put your stickies up? I'll give you some walking and stand by the chart that you're willing to share your thoughts.
We've decided that.
So on the charts, it would just have these, those are people who want to present it, okay. Who would like to go first? Sure, you got the.
Okay. Let's see, I'm not sure we have it there. Some students don't know or disagree if their teacher cares or try to talk to them if there's a problem. Another gap is Weston School being 69% in attendance.
Okay, there's one over here.
We have stress levels, and there was always a portion who didn't know the surveys.
Which is very interesting. Okay, Mary.
UDL to increase opportunities for students. Math on the bus for summer school and increasing conceptual math problems.
Good, Erica.
13% of families don't agree that students are challenged to do their best. And then struggling learners need more time.
Yeah, you're up.
I know, we're just figuring out which
I know,
ones
I
we're
put
doing.
on separate charts, so.
So middle school summer math programs and the staff feeling emotionally supported.
All right. Any other wonderings? About what you just heard between goal one and goal two. Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. The restrooms are down this hallway. Like, and there's some snacks, there's probably still some snacks. Thank you, Debbie, for the snacks.
Eat it up. Yeah. Gotta go home or get back up, or I gotta bring it back to work tomorrow. People can have it. Something to get to your office supplies and leave it.
Yeah, the plan
Okay, what it's for time. Yeah. 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 As I say, can say the sport is totally 80. We want it sort of. That I think so.
Yeah, that's and it's the last 30 minutes.
I got to 3 more days. Wasn't even a holiday day.
Oh.
No, not when. No, I'm not crying.
Okay.
No, I'm just like, I'm in a better place. It's just- What's I'm saying, I was just about the teachers and you want to give me every other Friday off? I took Friday off, that was my first Friday off. Yeah, that's all. Which is good because this was COVID, people were out, especially from there, yeah. Yeah, so I think I'm looking forward to, I'm just happy that more people. Are you having your work? Did you have a lot of people gone? Yeah.
Yeah, you can take notes and everything. Yeah, that is super effective. I had to take a picture of you of my
I think that's what.
I think it's a
No, yeah, I have like 2 pages already.
Yeah.
It's just something I do.
It's so good for you.
It's
so
totally
good.
fun.
Remember.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's-
no, it does. It really does. Yeah, and then you look back and you go, oh yeah, I remember that.
It's just. Because we don't know, I mean, but it's just an emotional side. It's very hard to make their issues. And
You want to have a talk with your heart really good.
it just, and then it's like 0 plus 1. Like whatever you had, you thought you had just. Right, if I could bottle it, if it was easy as a, it's not, because it's so much, it's your soul. It's your soul. It's who you are as a human. And I was in tears that was like a lack of caring. It's just they kind of got it under their belt. The COVID is definitely thrown a new, they've kind of, I've said it, but there's new things that even tenured teachers are not even. Yes. Growing on that. Yep. Okay. So neither Mike or you tonight.
Mike Gray was on.
Yeah, I saw, so he's, I didn't see him the other night.
Sherry's really tired.
Yeah, no, I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to be a complainer. It's just, it's a lot of energy to be out all day. And this is a full meeting. I love it. I totally want to give it. I'm just wondering if the information is as robust as the other two, I want to be attentive to it. I want to make sure I'm getting it. And I think it's needed. And then we also have an executive session.
So.
Do you want me to go? I can do that. I can do that. That's fine. If that works, I'll be attentive.
Or we can do one more today.
Yeah.
And then that, we can maybe do the full 4 at another.
That sounds, yeah.
Or the other. Could you see more? Yeah, we don't want to wait too much. Actually, first is the deal. So you have it. Yeah, well, that's what we last.
I would support that. I really would. I think that would be a good use of time because I really enjoy this and I love this layout. There's a figure on this week. This is more than just on it. So I would support that. I saw him and then I did. I know.
We were just connected to that.
Let me see. Let me check.
Okay. Yes. I can't tell. I think there's 11 participants. Yeah. I can't tell. Right.
Because this is learning. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm on that couch to share. They're all back. Right.
Which was.
Sherry's tired. What are barriers? Because I'm sure it's already gonna come back here. And I'd like to share your screen so I can share that. The next discussion slide of yeah. Right.
So it's not, so it'll go to the executive session.
I don't care at all. I just have to switch the slide, like the presentation stuff. Put the slide up position.
Okay, let's find our seats.
I just realized, I walked up and I'm like, oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay, we're coming back, and I believe that after some conversation, we may have an adjustment that we might make. So I'm looking to you, Mary, as board president.
There are some fatigued members of the school board tonight, and we had a brief check-in, and we are wondering if everyone would be opposed or in favor of bringing goal 3 and 4 back at a different time, still having on our agenda our executive session that's going to last us 30 minutes or less, hopefully. So this would be changing the agenda would be an action item.
I propose that we make an action to amend the agenda to visit goal 3 and 4 at a future board meeting.
And then we would need a second to amend the agenda.
I'll second the motion to amend the agenda.
And then Debbie, I think we need to take a vote if we can amend the agenda.
Yep. Director Kelly. President Levesque,
Aye.
Director Knapp.
Aye.
There we go.
Okay, so we have taken the motion to amend the agenda, so we will next move into our executive session. We want to thank everybody who prepared to present goal 3 and 4 at a later time. We will now recess this meeting so that the board may convene in an executive session to review the performance of an employee, the superintendent's mid-year performance review. I estimate the executive session will last approximately 20 minutes, during no final action will be taken. Following the executive session, this special meeting will be reconvened for the sole purpose of adjournment.
Hold it down. You unshare your screen. Dr. Judy, will you unshare your screen?
I can make it.
I did unshare my screen.
Okay. Can I leave the building? What?
You want to go to the back?
No, it's already ended. Yeah, they would.
Thank you all. Hope this was the right place.
You want it? Yes.
Thank you. Just that. It just not right. I turned it on. I can leave all
this stuff?
Do you want me to put my slide back up?
I just.
I'll put mine up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got That's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Still all yours.
Well, yeah.
I feel like I was here. Right now, I'm like, nope, I'm good. Yeah. You guys are, it's a, oh, yeah, we're done. Yeah, we're done. After that, you can look over it. So this part of the- you can go there, you can go there.
I don't think.
I remember all those things. But you have to, you get that, and then you're like, that makes sense. Yeah. And then, and I'm to the whole page of my. Get to that, and then it's like. Right.
Right, so you were just sharing your that.
Stressful.
I don't like to see it. The owl is here.
It's not, two pages.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's right, we're gonna go.
No, I think you're right, but it's really, I mean, I just mean like. Yeah. But, you know, it's cool that they.
She's gonna do one.
We're vaccinated, so we get.
We're doing one.
Oh.
Right, I'm like, yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Now,
Excuses.
well,
I
yeah,
joined this meeting.
we were playing.
I showed Mary, Debbie, Brenda, but I know the other Mary. So it's like, let's try it.
Maybe a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go visit your cousin.
Like,
Something, it's not 22 hours.
Oh, it's a whole.
I don't know.
Yeah, because you gotta like me originally and the
Yeah,
other.
I'll figure it out when you guys are done.
I flew from.
You have a slide you can put up?
I have, like, I'm
And then the
an
time
owl,
changes.
and then everybody works, so I can't close the video, but I'll, yeah, it's all right. I'll just, I had it.
So that's good.
No, it's super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, because at home base, that's the key, is just, you know. And that time is just still like, but family, somebody had told me they told me Ireland, she's like, yeah, they're staying up in the park, and like being here. That's great. No worries.
Thank you.
I know we're there, the public.
I go this way.
Oh, yeah.
Faster, I'll go faster.
I'll just grab mine.
You bring one here, and then you want this one.
We're okay, we'll just walk. From
Okay, I'm gonna give you one.
I'm so
the virus. And 18.
You too. I'll probably see you.
This is the other slide.
I was in.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Hey, bye, Laura.
It's great to see you.
I'm gonna call that.
Have a good night. Yeah.
the library tonight,
Oh, that's right.
and I'm back here in the morning, so I might as well just.
You want me to just get my sleeping bag and use that for tonight?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Look at that.
We should get all formal with the kids tomorrow. Make them feel all important.
I don't know about that. I don't know what to Cheaper. Yeah. We have a limited once a month. Theaters or, corner. So they're in executive session right now.
Yes, they voted to leave early tonight.
Oh, I'm sure they're talking about you.
They do. It's all about me.
You're a hot subject there.
That's how we get rid of that guy.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Nice early. See you then.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Good
See you in
night.
the morning.
Yeah.
A lot of it stays here because it was pulled out of our.
I know how it is. My mom used to be you. My mom retired being superintendent secretary.
Oh.
She liked it. Not be too much.
So do we put the owl just away?
I have to leave it until the meeting is over.
Oh, that's right.
Because it's still actually, going to still live, but, oh, jeez, and I walk right around it. That's all right. No, I've got picture up that says, oh, we got. Like scared at this minute. Dump the ice out of that. And throw it into my car.
Oh, we could just dump it right out.
And it's just gonna drive it down the driveway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're eating out there. For a little milk. Sure, that's hard. Ooh. Everything worked all right?
Oh, yeah.
I'll get that. He was talking to the microphone. Not too bad.
No. Oh. No, those two are mine.
These boxes will stay.
Yeah, I'll put those away for you. Understood.
someone might help me load my car and actually,
Why don't you move your car, just back it right up to the stairs here?
I will,
That's what I do.
I will. Oh. Well, they're past time.
Oh, do you have to tell them?
Well, they're supposed to tell me.
They're in that, yeah, you know where they're at. Yeah, they, figure something to do. Unless you never do this.
Yes, please. Yes, you do.
Mary, come on, we gotta adjourn the meeting. Yay! Let's go, baby.
Oh,
Can
well,
you? Yeah, it's still there.
Okay.
All right, welcome back.
Yeah.
We are back in our regular session. Thank you for being here. And now do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned.